You know who else is having fun right now? Oregon fans. You know why? Because they're keeping their coach. Texas A&M fired Jimbo Fisher the other day. Dan Lanning, the Oregon coach, top of the list. And let me tell you something about how we do these lists. When I make a hot board for a coaching search, it's not everybody I think will take the job. It's a mix of people who I think will want the job that maybe the school's not going to call, or maybe they are going to call them, and the people who I definitely think the school will inquire about whether they want the job or not. Because sometimes you don't know. You know, I go back to a couple of years ago. None of us thought that Lincoln Riley was going to leave Oklahoma, and he goes to USC. And then a few hours later, Brian Kelly is leaving Notre Dame to go to LSU. A month before that, none of us would have predicted either of those two moves. So you got to throw the names out there you think the school's going to inquire about. Dan Lanning was the first name that came to mind for Texas A&M. If you're Texas A&M, if you're Ross Bjork, the AD, if you're among the people making that decision, you're looking at pedigrees, you're looking at achievements. Dan Lanning is the obvious choice. That doesn't necessarily mean you can get him. And Dan Lanning made it abundantly clear on Monday that he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, we talk about outside noise a lot in our program. I guess the reality here is, one, my name and our program would never be in a topic of conversation for another school if we didn't have something here that everybody else wanted. And the reason we have something here that everybody else wants, that's because of what our players, our coaches, the support that exists here at Oregon have created. I think I've been really, really clear here since day one. Everything I want exists right here. I'm not going anywhere. There's zero chance that I would be coaching somewhere else. I've got unfinished business here. There's a lot that I want to accomplish here at Oregon. My number one priority is being elite here at Oregon. And we have the resources, the tools. Anybody that can't understand why you would want to be here at this place doesn't understand exactly what exists here, right? Like what I've said before, with a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old, to be able to raise your family in a community like this, to be able to compete for championships and have the ability to get the resources you need. You know, a lot of coaches hang on to these moments and they don't do anything or don't say anything. One, because they don't want egg on their face when they decide to do something else, right? Two, because they're concerned about things that I'm not concerned about, like getting a better contract. Like, I'm taken care of extremely well here at Oregon. I have the resources I need here at Oregon to be really, really successful. I'm not motivated by that. I'm motivated by winning. I'm motivated by being elite here. And our players deserve my complete focus. Our fans deserve the best product on the field. So it's outside noise. It didn't matter before. It doesn't matter now. I'll continue to say it till I'm blue in the face. I want to be here at Oregon. That hasn't changed. That won't change.
He didn't just say he was staying. He cut a damn promo that the WWE would be proud of, that becomes a great recruiting pitch for Oregon. Now, here's the thing about this. If conference realignment didn't happen, I don't know that he says it that way. But Oregon's going to the Big Ten. Oregon does have lots of resources. Oregon has a great collective in Division Street, taking care of the NIL part of it. And they're in the Big Ten. The job Oregon will be when the conference switch happens is better than Texas A&M right now. I know what you're thinking if you're saying Texas A&M, they have all this money. Yes, they have all this money. Yes, they're located near more recruits. Yes, they're in the SEC. But here's the thing. If you're trying to figure out, do I have a good job, a job that I should stay at, or should I look around? There's a few questions you should ask. Question number one. This is the first question starting in 2024. Is my job in the Big Ten or the SEC? If the answer is yes, we can move to question two. If the answer is no, then yeah, you're probably going to consider moving to something in the SEC or the Big Ten. So the answer is yes for Dan Lanning. His job's in the Big Ten. The next question you need to ask is, can I finish regularly in the top 3 in my conference if I'm in the Big Ten or the SEC? Because if you can answer yes to that, you have a great job and you should not go anywhere. Maybe if Alabama or Ohio State called, maybe. But you probably shouldn't leave. You're probably in a great spot. So if you're Dan Lanning, you ask that question. Can I finish regularly in the top 3 of the Big Ten as it will be constituted in 2024? The answer to that is yes. Oregon's played for the national title twice since 2010. They've won multiple Pac-12 titles. They have access to players, even though there aren't a lot nearby. They've been great at recruiting nationwide. This goes back to the way Nike marketed them. It really goes back to Mike Bellotti and company and figuring out how to make them a nationwide brand. But that O, everybody knows what that O means, whether you're in Miami, whether you're in Portland, Oregon, whether you're in Los Angeles, whether you're in Boston, everybody knows what that O means. They can go anywhere and get players. Texas A&M is a really good job, but for whatever reason, Texas A&M has never been able to get over the hump. They've not been able to compete for national titles. Oregon has been able to compete for national titles recently. It's a better job if it's in the Big Ten. If the Pac-12 had stayed together, different story. Different story. Dan Lanning might entertain an SEC offer or a Big Ten offer at that point. But now he has the better job because he can answer yes to those two questions. Is the job in the Big Ten or the SEC? Yes. Can I finish in the top 3 in my league on a regular basis? Yes. That means you're in the playoff when it's a 12-team playoff. That means you're legitimately competing for a national title. He can do that there. They'll take care of him financially. And the thing about Dan Lanning, and I understand why Oregon people get nervous about this, because Willie Taggart stayed there a year and then left for Florida State. Mario Cristobal was there for a very short time, and then he left for Miami. Both of those guys, though, were going home. Willie Taggart grew up in Bradenton, Florida, always dreamed of playing for or coaching at Florida State. Mario Cristobal played at Miami. He's from Miami. His family's in Miami. That made sense. Dan Lanning's from Missouri. He's not going home with any of these jobs. This is a different scenario entirely. In fact, there aren't any jobs around where he's from where you can answer yes to both of those questions. There's an SEC school, Missouri, but you're not answering yes to question 2 at Missouri. Now they can answer yes this year, but Eli Drinkwitz has done a really good job this year. Is that going to be an every year thing? It'd be really hard to be an every year thing, given the competition they face. Oregon has been competitive since Mike Bellotti was the head coach. They were competitive under Bellotti. Chip Kelly took them to new heights. Mark Helfrich made a national title game. Mario Cristobal won the league. It's a better job right now than Texas A&M. And I know the Texas A&M people don't want to hear that, but until they get over that hump, until somebody comes in and figures out how to unlock all that potential, it's still not a better job than a place where you can be successful right now. Like going into the Big Ten, I don't know where Oregon will be predicted to finish in its first year in Big Ten play, but my guess is it's going to be 3, maybe 4. And if you win a game or 2, then you're potentially 1 or 2. That's the thing. It is a great job. And we have to start looking at things the way they're going to be starting next year. Because I think we all are guilty of this. Everything's been this way for so long. We talk about the Power 5. There's no Power 5 3 weeks from now. The Power 5 ceases to exist. Once the Pac-12 championship game gets played on that Friday night, there is no more Power 5. There's a Power 2. So every job from this point on, you have that 2-question test, and you can figure out if the person should leave or not. Am I in the Big Ten or the SEC? If the answer is yes, can I finish in the top 3 of my league on a regular basis? If the answer is yes, you stay. The answer is yes for Dan Lanning. That's why he's staying. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.